Borna and Mandy, the Hog.
We continue our celebration of all things Milwaukee in anticipation of 414 Day. And let's welcome in our next guest. You know the name, you know the food. You've been to at least one, if not many, of his spots. Chef Paul Bartolotta here in studio. Chef, thank you for joining us here today. We appreciate the time.
Happy to be here.
And we are streaming live, Facebook Live, 1029 The Hog. You can watch us there. And Chef, I see. Did you come straight from work? Because I see you're in your chef gear. What's the uniform called?
It's a chef coat, and then they wear a cravat, which is the tie, and then you wear the toque, which is the hat. But, you know, that's kind of gone out of fashion a bit. But, yes, this is a classic chef's coat, yeah.
Chef's coat, okay. And cravat, that's the
cravat is the tie, yes.
Very. So it's just a coat, and then you got the cravat.
You know, exactly.
And then, but I think you go to a place, you see a chef, you can get that, sometimes get that peek into the kitchen, and you go, oh, this is going to be good. It's legit. If you're
well, it's also old school. Wearing your chef's coat today, a lot of the chefs are more casual. It's perfectly acceptable to wear a T-shirt or a shirt or kind of whatever you want. But I'm a traditionalist. I'm sort of old school. I grew up wearing a chef's coat, so for me, it's very natural.
And most TV shows, Mandy, I know you're a connoisseur of those, do the chef coat.
Yes, I do appreciate the chef coat. And I want to ask you about that, too, because I see that you have it buttoned all the way up. But I have seen sometimes when chefs are, quote unquote, relaxing and not in the kitchen, they'll undo the first one and kind of lay it over. What are we doing with that?
I think it's a look. I know some chefs also wear like a shirt and a tie underneath at a time when they're not actually in the kitchen, but they're wearing their chef's coat. You know, some are short sleeves, some are long. It's just, you know, it's a style thing. But I wear them, one of the most classic two-button chef's coats. Did
you come straight from work somewhere? Because
I did. Well, we are in the Wauwatosa area and right inside of Milwaukee, but I was at Restauranteur a few minutes ago working on some new menus, and we're doing a big wine dinner coming up, and I was talking with my chef, so came right from the restaurant.
Okay.
So you're very much still in there, like still in the restaurant, working on things.
Never enough.
Okay.
You know, every restaurateur will tell you this. There's always an empty seat, and that's your most expensive thing. So you're always, you know, really trying to fill your seats. And then as a chef or chef owner, you know, it's a balance between juggling the time that you spend working on your business as opposed to the time you spend in the kitchen working in your business, which is what gets you in the business in the first place. As a chef, I don't ever want to lose connection with the kitchen.
That's amazing to hear, especially since, you're kind of a big deal. You know what I mean? I mean, you are, and you're the namesake of it now, and you've got a whole Wikipedia page. Are you aware of how huge your Wikipedia page is? And I feel like that's when you make it. You know what I mean? When you got a huge Wikipedia thing, you got to scroll down, and there are references upon references. I mean, unless you did that. Did you do that?
I did not,
okay.
but I have seen it.
Yeah,
and
it's impressive.
Yeah, it's a life's journey. But again, like so many things in our lives, you know, we are the sum total of our experiences. And everything that happens in our life happens for a reason. We have to be attentive. We have to be aware. And in life, you have people that mentor and give you opportunities, and then they'll open that door just a little bit, and then it's up to you to run through it and make something of your life. I've had just an enormous amount of people that have mentored me, that have given of their time, that have helped. I've had a lot of luck. I've made some mistakes. My brother and I, again, you know, as we go back 31 years since we started our company, Restauranteur, and Toast is 31. You know, I tell my team all the time, guys, we have not done our best work yet. And if you don't wake up every day saying, how do I get better at getting better? How do we work on improving what we're doing? How do we deliver better experiences for our guests? How do we make the best environment for our team members to really want to come and work every day and put themselves out there? Because it's the team that makes the experience. I can't cook in all the restaurants. I can't write all the menus, nor would I want to be honest with you. My brother and I have always been big about promoting each one of our chefs on their own. And we envision, or we've always viewed, you know, Bartolotta, whichever you want to call it, as more of an ideal than a person. And long term, we want to consider building upon that brand as opposed to being about a person or people. It becomes about what we stand for collectively. And then when you walk into any one of our restaurants, we hope that the staff and the environment and the food and the beverage all hug you.
And I mean, you talked about something that's so important. I think certainly in the restaurant business or anything that you do is you do it for a long time. People have that expectation of the familiarity of coming into one of your spots. So they expect a certain level of quality and whatnot, but you still have to innovate and create something new, right? Because otherwise you kind of become stale in the old thing on the block.
For sure. So being 31 is a blessing and a curse. Thank you, Milwaukee, for supporting us for 31 years. I say we haven't done our best work yet because I believe that. I believe that we push every day. And there's an old saying about restaurants. Restaurants don't get tired. Owners do. And as an owner, you've got to be driving continuously. You've got to be pushing yourself and therefore lead by example around your team. Because if you take for granted even 1 minute of time, you will lose an opportunity to mentor somebody, to teach somebody, to interact with a guest, to build a relationship. When Joe and I started this years ago, we started with a restaurant and then a second, and it grew into something much larger than we could have even imagined. But it happened because we have so many people that have come through our company and left a little bit of themselves along the way. And then many of them have gone and become in the medical profession, or become a pharmacist, or become a doctor, or become an attorney, or doing all different things. But they spent a little bit of time. And I was speaking with one of our former employees the other day at Harbor House, and she was telling me, the skills that I learned about dealing with people and understanding that in healthcare, I'm treating the individual and the person. The medicine, they don't know whether I know how to fix the carburetor on their truck or not. They just know whether they trust me. And it's the same with the medical profession. In hospitality, it is about earning their trust, treating it respectfully, and then really building on the relationship. So these are all things that are interrelated. We're never done. We're never done. And we are continually pushing ourselves to reinvent ourselves.
And when you talk about relationships, what are your relationships like with local farmers and butchers and producers? Because being, in Milwaukee and in Wisconsin, it's important.
All of the above. And as you know, Top Chef is in the zip code. And so they are here because we made a big push to let them know that we are a formidable city on a culinary level. We have great chefs, James Beard Award-winning chefs throughout the city here, throughout the region, throughout the entire state. We have great farmers, great produce. I mean, we have our lakefront. There's so much that we, showcased when they came through to determine whether they were going to come to film in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. And it all came together because they realized there was so much there. But it was because of all these people that stepped up and said, let us showcase what we have. Let us show here. And when we sort of just opened the breadbasket of Wisconsin to them, they became immediately excited.
Were you kind of in charge of showing them around and telling them why when they came here to check it out and see if we had the goods?
Yeah, so I've had a long relationship with Magical Elves, which is the production company, and Bravo, and obviously Tom and I have known each other since the days of his being at Mondrian and me being at San Domenico, New York, which was in the 80s. That was a half a century ago. And Tom had a little bit more hair, and I was a little bit thinner and had more hair. But we've been friends a long time, and they invited me to judge the first time in 2009 in Vegas, and then I did one in Singapore and Hawaii and a couple of others, and we've had a lot of fun doing it. And after my brother passed and I came back full-time here to be in Milwaukee, I asked myself, how can I make a difference? How can I add value to this community? And I had talked to my brother years ago about trying to get more TV to show our great city. And so I reached out to some friends of mine and then circled back around with the people at Magical Elves and with the production team and said, listen, what's it going to take to get you to consider coming to Milwaukee? And interestingly, to give you an idea how we've progressed, they were already thinking, well, maybe we'll do like a 3 cities thing. We'll do like Minneapolis and Milwaukee and Detroit. And they were noodling some other ideas. There were some other cities that were on the list. And I basically said, what's it going to take? And they kind of outlined it for me. And Amy Rossetti, who is my publicist, who's based in Las Vegas, but we worked together during my years at Wynn. She had actually been part of doing an entire series, an entire season at the Cosmopolitan where she was doing PR years ago. So her relationships were deep as well. And so we started strategizing. And the first call I made was to the governor's office, to Joel Brennan, and say, Joel, listen, if we were able to get this to the state, what would be the support? And Joel didn't pause. He said, "We're in, Paul. Tell me what you need." Are you kidding me? We're in. And he's like, "Let me talk to tourism, but I know the governor's going to say yes." And they were in. And then from there, Peggy Williams-Smith and Tim Sheehy had just recently invited me to graciously assume the seat that my brother had held on Visit and also at MMAC. And so I went to Tim and said, "Hey, Tim, could you help support this?" And he's like, "I'm in." And then I went to Peggy, who was new in her role, and she was like, "I don't know how we're going to do this, but damn, we're going to make this happen." And to Peggy's credit, then she started taking it and run, and her team really took it over the finish line. And again, before you knew it, then, Door County wanted me involved in Madison and the cranberry producers, and so many people came together. The Wisconsin Economic Development helped, create some funds, because to get a show like this of this magnitude takes resources and the availability, because they have filmed all over the world and they are so good at what they do, but they really don't want to go to a city where they don't feel like they're going to be welcomed or they're going to be appreciated. And since I know Doneen quite well, who's the line producer who actually does the run of show, this woman's a force of nature, and I know that she knows how to showcase a place or a city to make it look so great. And you've seen already the first few episodes, and it's just, how great does our city look?
So good.
And the world is watching, and the world is going to be coming to our table.
Chef Paul Bartolotta.
Yeah, or Bartolotta, whichever, it's fine.
I love the real
Bartolotta, Bartolotta, whichever.
I love
all
the
good.
real pronunciation. I think as Americans, we can learn something by just throwing the accent out there. You sound a little bit better. You mentioned you were in New York, and you read where you've been. You've been everywhere, all over the world. New York, Italy, Chicago. What makes Milwaukee special, culinary wise, and just being here and having grown up here and coming back here and being here?
So I grew up in Tosa. I'm a Tosa boy, Lincoln Longfellow, Tosa East. Then I went to MATC. I'm an alumni of MATC, as was my brother. And what a great school MATC is. And, when I went over to Italy and into France before coming back, I was away for a long time, but I just never lost my connection to my family table. We have refurbished my grandma's and my mom and dad's table that we metaphorically called the Bartolotta table. But it's where our parents taught us the values of who we need to be and how we need to act and how we need to care for people. We received all the good and the bad news in our lives at that table. And the reality is that's where we learned the conviviality and the importance of it. So for me to come back to Milwaukee as a chef, it was just like coming home and living sort of the way my parents or our parents would have wanted us to, which is about doing for others, caring for others, doing something you're passionate about, and like improving the social fabric of your community. And so both Top Chef or helping and watch mentor a lot of young chefs that have gone out and done their own restaurants. I filmed with Adam, one of my proteges at Loopy, and he looked great. And he has his own restaurant now, and as does Dane Baldwin at the Diplomat, and there are others. And so it's just really prideful to see. And then all these chefs that now we're attracting from elsewhere because they realize this is a city where great food is happening, and the dining community continues to support things of good quality and that has a story and a passion behind them.
What are some of your favorite Milwaukee spots right now that you like to go to outside of your own?
Okay, so that's a dangerous question for a chef because if you mention one and you don't mention another, that someone's going to get offended. So I'm gonna go to my fallback, and I mean this respectfully, but for me, when the Top Chef folks came in, the first thing I did with them was a custard crawl. I took them everywhere to eat custard because I just wanted them to see sort of a baseline of something super cool, very, very Milwaukee, very Wisconsin. But then one of the places I recommended immediately, which I had on Good Things Brewing, the TV show that Visit had promoted with David Caruso. He's doing a great job with it. On that first season, they asked me 3 places that were near and dear to me, and my 3 were the Milwaukee County Parks, which I think are amazing.
Agreed.
Pabst Theater, because my father ran it for years, and it's very emotional to me. And Gary Witt is doing an amazing job with Pabst Theater Group.
Yep.
And then lastly, I chose Three Brothers because it was a restaurant I ate at often with my brother. It's an ethnic food, Serbian. I thought my brother and I were doing pretty good getting to like 31 years, but the reality is I think they're like 50-something years, and their family is delightful, and it's very home-cooked food. It's cooked with the heart. It's cooked with history behind them, and they're respectful people, and it's just a fantastic place. So I recommend it to everybody, and because it's not so like the chef James Beardy kind of restaurant, but a really great Milwaukee neighborhood restaurant of excellent quality. That way I keep myself out of trouble, but I also make sure that anybody goes to check out Three Brothers, they will not be disappointed.
True story.
There you go. Chef Paul Bartolotta joining us here on our 414 day celebration. We appreciate it, Chef Paul. Thank you so much for the time. We'll let you get back to work.
Thank you for inviting
something
me.
Simmering or sauteing.
Right?
So I'm sure you gotta
Yes,
get back.
something burning in the oven.
You got to get back and check on it. We appreciate the time, Chef Paul. It's 1029 The Hog.
Hi, this is Sarah Shop from Delavan.
Hi, this is Jake Roos of Germantown, and I just won $1,000.
Milwaukee's 1029